topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Southern Cal. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I got to tell you, our audience owes me big time today. We got so many letters, emails, text. How come you don't do a show for all of our homeowners on public insurance adjusters? We hear that expression, but we don't really know what it means. And none of our shows, we've got about 60 shows, none of them we just go get anybody or anyone. We found one of the top public insurance adjusters. And I got to tell you, if you are a homeowner or a business owner, and boy, if you've ever had problems getting money out of the insurance companies on claims, today is your lucky day. We have such a great expert. Let me welcome you to David Melzer with Public. He's a public insurance adjuster with the name of the company is Property. I guess it's
Property Claims Consultant.
You know, I see Property Claims Consultant, which is the greatest name, tells people exactly who you are. And I'm going in my mind, that's just too easy. You got such a great name, David.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the funny story about it was the logo and everything was created on a napkin with my wife and I at a sushi dinner one day.
No way.
Yep.
No way. Well, I got to tell you, and you know what? I am going to introduce you to a guy who does mold and mildew in Southern California who does a show with us, and we'll get you two together. But first of all, David, tell us about your company.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Steve. So I am based out of here. I live here in San Diego. I started my company about a little over 3.5 years ago. I came from working for the insurance company. So I used to work for a couple of the big name insurance companies.
You were on the other side.
I was on the other side.
Okay.
I was on the other side. That's what I started for. And actually, I was very thankful for a nice career. I had about a 10-year career with various insurance companies, and very thankful for the time I had over there because it really gave me the expertise that gives me all the information and kind of an ammunition, I guess, that, so to speak.
You know all their tricks.
It's really knowing all their tricks. It makes it such a shoo-in. A lot of my counterparts can be fairly contentious and kind of a little bit more overly aggressive in this role, and it doesn't really get you anywhere. I think really just being smart and strategic in this role is really what makes you very successful, and in turn makes the clients happy with the outcome. Because at the end of the day, everybody just wants to get money to repair their home and get on with their life and not sit around, dwelling on this claim. And even the insurance companies don't want to sit with this claim open for a long time. Like, everybody just wants to get it done, move on, and like go about their day, their year, their holidays, whatever it is.
And David, do you just cover San Diego or
Yeah.
all of Southern California?
So we cover pretty much most of the West Coast states. And I guess I don't think I really kind of went into it exactly where it was. But so yeah, I worked for the insurance companies, and then I went and started my own public insurance adjusting company. In turn, now we are insurance adjusters that represent the homeowners and fight against them and fight against the insurance company in try to get them as much money as possible for their claim, make sure that they're treated right, and just also like financially compensated and indemnified for what they're owed for their claim, whether that be to their business. You had mentioned business owners, sometimes businesses, restaurants, manufacturers,
Yes.
storage facilities, to just your everyday homeowner, condo, townhome, single family home, apartment complex, whatever it is. Pretty much we help anyone that's got physical damages to either the building or items inside of the building. So it's got to be, most of the time, it's got to be kind of tangibles. There's also that business loss of income component. But so we help and fight for people in those instances against the insurance companies. Your other question was, I'm in San Diego myself. Vast majority of my team is kind of scattered throughout Southern California, but we cover most of the West Coast states.
Okay. So if someone's listening in the, say, San Francisco area, you do or do not cover that?
We do. Yeah. We've probably got about a couple of dozen clients up in the Bay Area and Bay and surrounding area. And we are expanding, hopefully bringing on a few more people here this year, actually in the Sacramento and the greater Sacramento area.
Well, David, I got to tell you, because I probably understand your business, because I had a major problem with what else? Leaks. Yeah. And I got to tell you, I thought I could handle it myself. Yep. Big shot over here. And, they came in like they were my friends, my buddies, and they gave me a quote. And, not knowing, you just think, well, that's the best I can do, even though I thought it should be more. And a friend of mine said, you got to get a public adjuster. It doesn't matter the cost, because you're going to make it if they're going to get you so much more. I didn't think they could. I'm a good negotiator.
Yeah.
But sure enough, they did like small things, David, like we can't buy this tile anymore. It's outdated. You're going to have the whole kitchen redone.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, I think I got about $45,000 more, David. But I tried to do it myself, and I'm telling people, this is why David is so good at what he does. Everybody's got a different, problems, but more than likely, David, you're going to find things that they might not show you.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of things there that people overlook or may not even know about. And it's not, I always say that it's not the insurance company maliciously underpaying it. It's just, they're not going to spend the time saying, hey, well, you've got coverage for this, and you've got coverage for this, and you've got coverage for this. It's just, they are on a tight schedule. They're overworked. They've got more claims and clients barking up their tree. They just want to kind of turn and burn, so to speak. And so what often happens is additional coverages or items in the policy, which exactly what you referenced, just get overlooked, therefore not paid and compensated to the clients. And so it's just kind of the nature of the beast. The insurance company is built and survives solely on the paying out less claims than they collect on premiums. Like, it's just simple math. It's just how insurance insurance 101 works. An insurance company collects $1 of premium. If they pay out $1.10, they're operating at a loss. So it's just the way that they're structured. They're going to give their adjusters as many claims as possible so they can just try and turn and burn them. They offer settlements to their clients as soon as possible, just to get money in the hands. And then some people think exactly what you had said. And from what your example is they thought that was all that they could get offered. And maybe right. I'm going to try and make an argument. And what I've learned in this industry is that it's not necessarily how much you're willing to like bark up their tree or make a big fuss. It's you have to be able to provide a detailed rationalization as to why is your claim $45,000 or $100,000 and it's not $5,000.
Right.
And that's what we really excel at is putting together this beautiful little packet that has all the information that they have so that they can check their boxes on their end and issue out those additional settlements. Like, what we had said earlier, nobody wants to sit here and argue for months on end. We just want to get everything settled and done. So we take the time on our end with our team to document it, to do a 3D Matterport on the property, to take hundreds of photos of the property. We'll even, the example you brought up where making the argument that there was not, that existing tile was no longer manufactured. We'll even go to the manufacturer and say, hey, look, here, it's not manufactured anymore. Okay, cool. They checked that box. We can pay for the continuous tile. It's just kind of knowing the ins and outs and the nuances of how the insurance company works and being able to provide this detailed packet to them that allows them to be able to just move on, pay the claim. Everybody's happy. We get a bunch more for our client. We in turn get our commission, our fee that we take. And then the insurance company closes out the claim. Everybody's happy. We move on, shake hands, and on to the next one.
You know, we just got our first text for the show. They want to know, what should we make sure our homeowners policy covers?
So that's a good question, because it depends on really where you are based or where you live. And so let me just kind of speak more high level. Most insurance policies for a single family home, a residential home, will have 4 buckets of coverage. Those 4 buckets, one would be the structure, so the building, the roof, the exterior, the drywall, the siding, you know, the house and structure itself. 2, the other structures. So that's going to be maybe a detached garage, some fencing, driveway, pretty much any hard, tangible structure that's not the main home itself. Then you've got the personal property. Personal property is going to be, if you take the home and tip it upside down, what falls out? That's going to be your personal property. And I always say, people think, oh, well, I've got, $100,000 or $200,000 in personal property coverage. That seems like way too much. And my thought, my kind of answer to people is, go through and add every single thing up. Like, I look on my desk right now. I mean, I've got a speaker, I've got 2 monitors, I've got an iPad. Like right here, I might have, like, things add up. So it's like that number might add up. And then the fourth coverage is the loss of use or loss of rental income. So that would be if you were to be displaced from your home, God forbid, if it were to burn down, earthquake, fire, whatever the case was, if it took a year to rebuild your home, what would it cost for you to live without your home for a year? You're still going to be paying the mortgage on the home, the homeowner's insurance, whatever it is. But if it's being built and you have to live elsewhere, you're going to have how much a month in to rent a home in your nearby area. Are you locked into a 3% interest rate on a home you bought 50 years ago, and your mortgage payment is so low, but then yet now rates have increased so drastically in your local neighborhood? So those are the kind of 4 coverages that I tell people to be mindful of when they're picking kind of the amount of insurance and the policy they want. The other things are big natural disasters that often don't come on insurance policies. So here in California, that's earthquake insurance. None of the regular insurance policies offer earthquake insurance. So that's something you want to make sure to get added on. Flood insurance, same thing, doesn't come factory, for the insurance policies. The fire coverage is typically, like firestorms, if we have a big fire event in California, that is typically included on the policies. Now, as coverage has become a little bit more scarce in California, that fire coverage has become a little bit more exclusive, but that's typically included. So it is something that you want to be mindful of. But the wind events, it's really something that's more specific to Florida. A lot of the Florida policies have specific exclusions or limitations when it comes to named wind events. So if you've got an Ian or an Ida, or I'm trying to think of the most recent hurricanes that have come through, but sometimes the policies are a little bit more either exclusive or limited to coverages on that. And that's something to be mindful of as well.
We also had someone who texted me this morning, knowing that your show's coming on today. And by the way, you can, if you're watching us today, David's company is being run underneath with the website and his phone number, and we will be giving that out to you. But he wanted to know if, he said, if I were to have a leak, I wouldn't even know who to call. I mean, I would start going through the phone book. And do you help people who have home damage? Do you help them or direct them to several different plumbers or roofers or whatever the case is?
Yeah, we absolutely do. So we have kind of a Rolodex of various different plumbers, restoration companies, roofers, things like that, that we work with. Obviously, we're not the ones that are swinging the hammers, tightening the bolts, doing things like that, but we would help direct them and send them in the right direction.
But you know the reputable ones, though.
Exactly. We know the reputable ones, and it kind of depends on what the extent of the damages are. So to answer your question, when you said, if I had a leak, what would I do? My thoughts would be is one, how extensive is it? If it's, I've got a little leaking pipe behind my sink, it might have been leaking for a day or two, or whatever. I would say call a plumber first, start there, get it repaired, and then maybe go down the route of contacting a restoration company. If you have a much more widespread damage, like a pipe burst upstairs and flooded the entire home, you come home and there's 2 inches of water in the house, that's where I would just reach directly out to a restoration company. I direct people towards Yelp and Google to see reviews of other of how people in their positions perceived that other role. So like my company, a lot of the companies we work with are huge, are heavily involved in Yelp, because I think it speaks a lot when I can say a lot of great things about my company and how I know that we help our clients. But when I have this laundry list of reviews that aren't completed by me, that are completed by my clients, that show and attest to the ethical demeanor that we carry ourselves with, our customer service, how fair and reasonable we are when it comes to pricing, that's where I direct them to. So I don't want to go down too much of a tangent, but yeah, like I said, widespread damages, start on doing your own research, whether that's on Google or Yelp, and finding a restoration company, get them out there. And that's when you reach out to us. I think that kind of leads into something I like to always touch on when to hire a public adjuster. We're always here to answer questions. Absolutely. I would say right now.
That was my next question, David. When do they bring you in?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now we field probably 50 to 100 phone calls a week, and we probably only take 5 to 10 of those clients a week. That's how many phone calls that we field. And it's, hey, I've got this small little leak. What should I do? And we usually kind of go through that. And a lot of it's like, hey, you've got a small little leak. The insurance environment right now in California, I usually say, hey, don't file your claim if it's a couple $1,000s. If you think you can hire a handyman to do the repairs, just keep it in-house. Write it off against the home however you can, because it's so difficult to get insurance. And then often when people do get new insurance, their rate is so heavily increased. So that's what we do. But going down a rabbit hole there. But what I was saying is that I understand what you're saying. We field so many phone calls right now of it's just, hey, let's just give people free advice. If it makes sense for us to get involved, we absolutely will. But so reaching out to a public adjuster is never going to hurt. Just hearing them out, letting them know, hey, this is what's going on. Like I said, we field phone calls. We'd love to hear from anyone. If they've got a leak or flood, fire, whatever it was, call us. We're here for you. The other thing I would say is that it would almost always make sense for a public adjuster to get involved is when you do have a fire or damages to your property that are a little bit more widespread or inclusive of the entire home. And what I mean by that is that you might have had a pipe burst, leaking roof, whatever it is, where it impacted multiple rooms, like a bathroom, a bedroom, and a kitchen. That's where we really can prove our benefit, because when there's so much more widespread damages, that's when you've got all of those buckets of coverage that we talked about, the structure, the other structures, the personal property, the loss of use or rental income. Like that's where you've got a lot more of those coverages getting involved in the claim. And that's when we can really maximize that benefit and help get you back into a home quicker, paid more efficiently, and truly what you're owed, and wrap that claim up hopefully as soon as possible and get you guys to kind of get the homeowner back up and running.
Exactly. And you know what? We can't leave out people who break into the house and do major damage.
And that happens too. Yeah, absolutely. Or they break in and they try and steal copper pipes, or we've had clients where they've broken in and to try and cover their tracks, they've actually burnt the house down. There's so many different instances, but really just direct physical damages to the home, we're here to bounce ideas off of. If it's something on the smaller end, we usually try and guide clients in the right direction, maybe connect them with the general contractor, potentially even just to get a quote and say, hey, is this something even worthwhile pursuing through insurance? Or hey, yes, that makes sense. Let's get one of our guys on our teams out there in the next day or so and take a look at it.
Hey, and how about, businesses? Let's don't leave the businesses out, especially like you said before, restaurants. there's always leaks, and if it's really bad and it goes in your next door, you've got problems too, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a good example of a restaurant that I had, we had a restaurant, kind of leave the name out, but a restaurant that reached out to us. They had a small fire in their kitchen, but it did smoke out. It caused smoke damages there. So the vast majority of the restaurant, the insurance company originally paid them out about $25,000. We ended up settling out the claim closer to $1 million.
What?
It was wild. Yeah, we brought in, when we went out, they were like, okay, one, this is food. This is food. You can't just reuse food that's been impacted by smoke. Then that led into, okay, well, what's in the freezer? That's going to go bad. Then it was like, okay, now all their alcohol has been impacted. You can't really clean the alcohol. So, and then their building had to get shut down while we did the smoke, soot, char, and ash cleaning. And so then they lost out on, they had the loss of business, the
Loss
income,
of business, that's
and
right.
all their continuing expenses. In California, you know, there's a lot more laws that stipulate how they pay that are more advantageous to the business owner. So we had payroll taxes, continuing expenses for, you know, net 30 on alcohol and food and things like that just added up. And as you can see, I mean, from 25,000 to almost $1 million, like that's a huge difference.
Yeah, I would say so. Hey, David, what are some of the common misconceptions people have about insurance claims adjusters and the whole process?
When you say that, do you mean my insurance adjusters, or do we mean the insurance adjusters
The
that work for
process.
me?
The people have misconceptions of insurance claims, the process.
The process, I think the big misconception is just that, you know, someone's going to show up to my home. They're going to shake my hand. They're going to understand what I'm going through. I've got a pregnant wife at home. I've got a sick baby. I've got maybe a disabled family member or child at the house. And that person that's going to show up from ABC Insurance Company is going to understand what I'm going through and realize that this is a huge traumatic situation for me, and that just writing me a check for $5,000 is not necessarily going to fix it. So that's one thing, because they're a business. You know, they're going to come in, they're going to do whatever they have to do, take their measurements, get their photos, get in and out as quickly as possible. That's if they show up. A lot of the times now, these insurance companies are realizing that they potentially can handle this on a virtual basis. So that means they'll say, send us some photos from your iPhone, upload them to this. Our AI system will auto-generate an estimate for you or whatever have you, and send you this lowball estimate that's really not going to address anything. So I think insurance people are not realizing that the insurance companies are trying to become efficient, and in the process of efficiency becomes errors and miscalculations and lack thereof addressing the vast majority of the damages. So I think that people give them a little bit more benefit of the doubt, and then they realize quickly that they're really kind of an uphill battle against a very large bureaucracy.
You know, it must be hard, David, in your business. You know, homes are damaged. I mean, just the headaches, I would say even depression. I mean, seeing your house damaged like that, it must be hard dealing with people that are going through such trauma with their prized possession, their home or their business.
And it is, and I think it's a matter of putting yourself in their shoes. And I think what I have learned is that being able to put myself in their shoes has kind of given me a leg up in this industry. And this kind of takes me a few steps back of a big reason why I started my insurance company. I had a rental property in San Diego that I bought. I bought it in 2017, and in mid 2019, I had a pretty big flood there. I went through this entire situation, this whole song and dance with the insurance companies, while ironically I was working for an insurance company, a different one, but flood happened in 2019. The insurance adjuster came out. I did not tell them who I was or what my career was or what I was doing. They paid me about $8,000, and then we ended up settling that claim at about $150. And I realized, well, if I can do that for myself, like why can't I help other people out for that? But
Right.
that being said, is that I think the frustration with that was a rental property, and that was some of the income of that was making me whole and making myself to be able to pay mortgage and stuff like that. So it caused a lot of stress on me. And so now when people call me and say, hey, I've got an apartment complex or a building unit or whatever it is, this is my means of income, you know, a restaurant, a build, whatever it is, I can understand and really be in their shoes and understand like how much it can put a toll on not just you, maybe the relationships with your wife or your family or your business partner or whatever it is. And it's tough. It can be very, financial hardships can cause a lot of traumatic experiences for people.
You know, it's first of all, I love what you do. I love the fact that you level the playing field. And I think that is so important. David's going to be with us every month. I've already gotten 7 text messages. 2 of them are thanking us for the show. I knew they would, because this is such an important area, David, what you do. And first of all, let's give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Yeah, you want me to give it to them?
Yes, please.
Okay, so yeah, it's www.propertyclaimsconsultant.com. The big thing is that the consultant is singular. So
okay.
it's yeah, people always mix it up. It's instead of property claims consultants, it's property claims consultant. Claims plural, consultant singular.com. And then our kind of office line is an 858-210-5880. And like I said, we're always here to bounce ideas off of. Like I said, we field, you know, hundreds of phone calls a month, and a lot of it's sometimes just answering questions for people that, look, we're on your side. We're not benefiting it by underselling you an insurance policy, overselling you insurance policy. We're just here to say, hey, look, this is the reality of what happens when you have an insurance claim at your home. And I think we're a big valuable resources, because when you do go and buy an insurance policy from an insurance agent, a broker, whatever it is, not to discredit what they do, but they're on the sales side of things. They haven't seen the reality of what happens when that policy actually, you know, you have to take a ticket on that policy and now actually cash it in and say, hey, I had a claim now. This policy I've been paying into for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I need now to be reimbursed for my loss. And some of these agents or brokers may not be as familiar with that. And we are. We actually do see which insurance companies are more easy to work with, which insurance companies are much more difficult to work with, which ones draw lines in the sand for whatever reasons, and which ones are much more flexible in hearing arguments and willing to come to the table and have an actual discussion and try and find resolution.
David, we just got another text. Somebody wants to know, do you cover the San Jose Bay Area?
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
Okay, good. And you know what I tell you, I know exactly, and we only have a minute left, but I want to talk next month when you're on, is your customer service. Very important part of your business.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you this just one more time, because you never know when an emergency is going to happen. You're going to, why didn't I write David's phone number down? Give everybody your phone number one more time, David.
Yeah, 858-210-5880. And so again, that's 858-210-5880. You can also just find us if you search Property Claims Consultant. That's why I kind of created the name, as I wanted it to be as easy as possible. So if people saw a business card, you know, they knew that's what we did. Funny that one last little thing I'll tell you about that. When I first started my company, that was why I started. I wanted to have every kind of argument there. I ended up putting my card up at like a restaurant bar, just in the little, you know how they sometimes tape your card up there. And a friend of mine messaged me and found it. And then that was actually one of the first jobs that I got. He didn't even know I started the company, and he had a leak at his house.
Wow.
And he was getting dinner or drinks at this restaurant and saw my card. And because it said so clearly Property Claims Consulting, knew what I was going to do. And then that was my third client.
Well, I know we got to get out of here, but hey, you'll be back with us next month. Thank you. Great job, first show. Great job. And we'll see you again next month, David. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
That's David Melzer. That's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.